It felt like everything was falling into place, not just on the surface, but deep beneath it. There was this quiet ease between you and her, as if the two of you had finally found something most people spend years searching for. No pressure, no pretending. She laughed at your worst jokes. She looked at you like you mattered. She responded quickly, made plans, stayed up late just to hear your voice. You didn't even think about it much. It just flowed. But then something changed, almost overnight. The shift didn't come with warning signs. It came subtly, quietly. The way she said your name lost its warmth. The messages became shorter, the energy colder. She started taking longer to reply, until eventually she didn't reply at all, and you're left sitting there, staring at a ghost that used to feel like home, asking yourself the question that twists every man's insides. Why? Why now? Why? When it felt so perfect? There's a reason, but it's not what most people will tell you. It's not that she stopped caring. It's not that you did something wrong. It's not even that she met someone else, at least not usually. See, what most don't understand about female psychology is this. When a woman feels something real, her first instinct isn't always to move toward it. Sometimes she pulls away, because real love, real intimacy, real emotional exposure, it terrifies her. A woman's world is not governed by logic the way a man's is. It's governed by feeling, by her nervous system, by her patterns, by her unconscious. And when something feels too good, it can activate the part of her that remembers pain, the part of her that's been abandoned, used, left behind, hurt. She doesn't consciously choose to withdraw. She feels the shift before she can explain it. It's not about the perfection, it's about what that perfection represents. It represents a threat to her control, because when something feels this good, the mind starts whispering, how long will this last? Is this real? What if I fall for him and he leaves? What if I trust him and he lies? What if I show him all of me and it's too much? This is where the fear creeps in. And fear in women who are emotionally unhealed doesn't show up as panic. It shows up as distance, as a sudden emotional wall, as a need to create space, even when there's no logical reason to do so. And the tragedy? Most men chase. They feel her slipping, and they react with desperation. Long texts, constant calls, trying to convince her that the connection is worth holding on to. But that response only confirms her fear, because now she feels pressure. She feels that weight she was trying to avoid. The closeness that once felt warm now feels suffocating. She begins to associate you, not with comfort, but with anxiety. Because when she pulls away and you chase, it tells her one thing loud and clear. You are not emotionally safe. This isn't about games. This isn't about being alpha or playing hard to get. This is about emotional posture, about what your reaction says about your sense of self. The emotionally undisciplined man collapses when a woman distances herself. He loses his center, he reacts, he begs, he tries harder, and in doing so, he confirms that her withdrawal was necessary. Because if you can't remain composed in her absence, why should she trust you with her presence? Women aren't testing your strength with words, they test it with silence, with space, with unpredictability. Not because they're manipulative, but because they need to feel your calm in their chaos. They need to feel your stillness in their storm. This is what feminine energy yearns for, but cannot explain. And most men never learn this, because most men believe that love is won through action, through proving, through effort. But love isn't something that can be convinced into staying. It has to feel safe enough to stay on its own. And safety for a woman doesn't mean comfort. It means emotional gravity. It means you are grounded enough in yourself that her pullback doesn't shake you. It means you can love without clinging, desire without needing, care without collapsing. The moment you chase, you shift the dynamic. You become the one seeking validation, and she becomes the one holding power, not because she took it, but because you gave it. This is the emotional discipline most men were never taught, to sit in the discomfort of not knowing, to feel her pulling away and not try to fix it, to not send that second message, to not double down on affection, to not interpret her withdrawal as a reflection of your worth, because sometimes Her silence has nothing to do with you. Sometimes she's working through her own chaos, her own uncertainty, her own internal war, and if she feels that you cannot hold your own center during her storm, then you'll never be the man she lets into her calm. Women don't pull away from men they feel emotionally anchored to. They pull away from men who become unstable the moment intimacy fluctuates. Understand this: feminine energy is fluid. It rises, falls, changes, shifts. It's not linear. And if you demand consistency from her emotions, if you need her to always be available, always be warm, always be perfect, she will eventually feel unsafe, because safety to her isn't about your words. It's about your presence, your ability to be steady when she isn't, to not make her fluctuations about you. This is what creates the space for her to return. Not pressure, not logic, not pursuit, but space. When she pulls away and you hold your ground emotionally, energetically, psychologically, you show her something rare. You show her that your love is strong but not needy, that your heart is open but not desperate, that you are available but not dependent. And in that space, she has the room to feel again, to choose again, to return, not out of guilt or pressure, but out of authentic desire. The tragedy is, most men never make it this far because they panic in the space between connection and withdrawal. They become consumed with what went wrong. They analyze every message, replay every moment, and in doing so, they lose sight of the one thing they can control: themselves. Her pulling away is not the end. It's an invitation for you to rise, to become the man who doesn't need her to feel complete, to become the man who doesn't chase affection, but attracts devotion by being centered, grounded, clear, still. Women don't remember the men who chased them. They remember the men who stood their ground when the emotional tide shifted. They remember the men whose love didn't come with need. They remember the presence that felt stronger than pressure. So when she pulls away, stop asking, how do I get her back? And start asking, who do I become now? Because if you let this moment shape you, if you sit in the pain without reacting, if you walk away with your integrity intact, you don't lose, you evolve. And sometimes she returns. Sometimes the space makes her see you differently. Sometimes the silence echoes louder than your words ever could. But even if she doesn't return, you win. Because you become the man who doesn't crumble, who doesn't beg, who doesn't lose himself in someone else's absence. And that man is unstoppable because he knows that the love worth having will never require him to abandon himself to keep it. So let her pull away, let her disappear, let her process whatever she needs to process. But while she's gone, become someone she never expected to find. A man who loved, but never begged. A man who felt, but never lost himself. A man who can be alone without ever feeling lonely. And maybe, just maybe, that's the version of you she was waiting to meet all along.